And we are live. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. Hope that you guys are all having an amazing Sunday. Today it is April 27th, 6:20 p.m. and welcome to our Sunday Stock Talk. So for those that have never tuned on in, my name is Ricky, and every single Sunday we host one of these live sessions. So if you ever want to tune on in, all we ask you to do is smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel. And we'd love to have you tune on in live, maybe to the next one if you have time. So this week we do have big tech reporting earnings. We have companies like Microsoft and Meta reporting after the market closes on Wednesday, and then Amazon and Apple reporting after the market closes on Thursday. So 4 out of the Magnificent 7, we had Tesla and Google report last week. So that would mean that the only one that is left is Nvidia for the Magnificent 7 stock that has yet to report earnings once this week is complete. I do want to remind you guys, I do trade live every single morning. You do not have to, but if you like the way that I break things down, then I do believe that you would like my daily live sessions. So again, if you ever want to join my LPP team, it's a one-time payment, lifetime access. You'll get to watch me trade live every single day right at market open. And it's the second link in the description down below if you want one of those discount links. With that being said, I want to go ahead and just, well, in reality, markets are so biased based off of what Trump tweets and what these companies are going to report. So I'm just going to let you guys take full control. Normally, I share 2 or 3 of my own stocks, and then I break down 2 or 3 of the viewers. But now I'm just going to do the top 5 that you guys see value in. So if you're tuning on in and you want me to break down your stock, you just have to be subscribed to the channel so you can partake in that live chat. But that live chat, just share the ticker symbol of the stock that you want me to break down, and I'll give you my opinion and my 2 cents about the stock. I want to remind you that my opinion is just that. It's just my opinion. In no way is it in any way an encouragement for you to buy. You should never be buying based off of someone else's opinion. And if anything, I always try to point out kind of like some of the downside, right? Especially in this market, everyone likes to hype up every stock on why it's going to do so good. I have nothing against that. I like to break down some of my concerns. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you guys want me to break down your stock, then feel free to let me know in that live chat, and we'd be more than happy to break it down for you. So here we go. Good evening from Lakeland, Florida. What's going on, Kevin? Thank you for taking time and tuning on in. Lifestyle is asking for me to break down Nike. It's NKE, right? That's ticker symbol NKE, because you put N. I think you spelled out Nike. So, all right. Who else? Let me see a show of hands. Who else has been watching Nike? Have you guys who hasn't even looked into the stock itself? I mean, like, Nike is such a household name. I've had this conversation with my LPP team. Again, during my live sessions, if there's a setup, I'm actively trading it. But a lot of the times it's just commentary, right? Like we're talking about markets opening, we're trying to look for direction to be present within the day. And then there's open dialogue in the sense of someone asked me of like, you know, a common question recently is, as markets began to retrace, I started investing more heavily long-term for my daughter's account. And one of those stocks that got brought up was Nike. Nike is a household name. It's incredibly oversold based off of recent downturns since the highs of 2021. And Nike has been a stock that I've been paying attention to. I have one of my good friends, Weston, who also is invested in Nike. But the part that bothers me about this, and it can't just be me, is that this stock just doesn't stop selling off. It just like, I'm a runner, right? Like one of my big hobbies is running, and what I use are Nikes. Like I love the company itself, but fundamentally the company has not been growing the way that it has in the past. So then it's like, okay, well, do I want to invest in a company based off of what it was? It's like, but again, it's such a household name that I begin to kind of like have a conversation with myself going back and forth of, but again, investing in it now lightly could pay off in the future, especially maybe for my daughter that wouldn't need this account maybe until the next 18 years, right? Crocs always does good in the summer. Yeah, no, Crocs is kind of the opposite of, because that's CROX, right? Yeah. CROX, Crocs was one of the fastest growing companies I remember during the pandemic. This thing went from like $12 all the way up to highs of 188. It had huge retracements along the way, and it's had a recent retracement. But based off of this performance, I almost, again, as an investment, right? I almost have more confidence to invest in Crocs than I do in Nike. Because technically speaking, if you've invested any money in the past 4 years in Nike, you've probably lost money and a decent amount, right? From the highs to the current lows, this stock is down 66%. And yeah, I love that. And this is why I love these conversations, because again, we can all share different ideas. One of the comments that you can see right now is vacation time 247. It says lots of headwind too. The China factories are also still in turmoil, 100% with the tariffs and everything that's being presented with that. Imagine, where do you think Nikes are made, right? Or at least all those different parts or vehicles. I just think it's an important conversation to have with yourself where, again, I battle with myself going back and forth, because Nike is such a household name that I would be like, man, could I ever actually see it going out of business? But then the performance is so bearish that my daughter wants to step in here. I do apologize for that. Right now, her mother's out of town, so I'm on daddy duty, right? So I hope that you guys don't mind. Hey, for all those that have been subscribed to my channel for the past possibly 9 to 10 years, could you guys believe the kid with the braces now has a 3-year-old daughter? Isn't that crazy? And another one on the way. Time flies, huh? But yeah, Nike is definitely a stock that I would consider watching. So again, it's definitely a stock that at these oversold values, I think it's a good stock to pay attention to. With the lower highs and lower lows, I would be cautious about investing in it too heavily too early on. Now, if this thing has a full break-of pattern and begins to actively indicate signs of a recovery and do something that it hasn't done before, its projections and its guidance fundamentally also begin to change, then that could be a different story. But at least for now, technically and fundamentally, Nike just doesn't look that great. Just my opinion, just my 2 cents. You guys let me know what you think. So Palantir Technologies. We got John Joseph. Is that really your name? That's like a movie character. PLTR. What's your name, sir? John Joseph the third. All right. Oh, damn. This thing's back at 113. I used to call Palantir Thanos, if you've ever watched my earlier videos. Especially when it was at highs of 120, 125. I tried shorting it during this like bull run, this breakout that it had after earnings. So I tried shorting it around this, and I ended up making a little bit of money on the retracement. But I just found out very quickly that Palantir, regardless if I agree with it or not, Wall Street loves the stock. Like, that's all I have to give it. Like, me not wanting to invest in it doesn't mean that I need to short it. Two very different things, right? Because shorting means that there's an active sell-off. I can make money when it's actively selling off. I can make money as it's losing value, right? This stock just doesn't stop pushing. And as long as market conditions, if they're not getting worse, I could see why Palantir could technically be given the environment or condition to continue to do better. Do I think it's a value stock? Do I think it's a great deal? Of course not. I would be lying to you if I said I thought it was. We can look into it very quickly using this quick little tool. So we can type in Palantir. Palantir is so incredibly overvalued based off of PE ratios, meaning that what it produces and versus what it's actually valued at. It's 572 times its earnings. For some people, they don't care about that because they're focused more on trading. I get it that a lot of it has to do with guidance and what's to come, and that's what excites these kind of investors. But then you just have to be okay with paying that premium, right? Paying or overpaying based off of what the company is actually producing. Because then again, if any negative news gets to be shared, then this is where you experience those 40 to 50% drawdowns. There's nothing wrong with investing in an overvalued company as long as you respect the idea that during downturns, that overvaluation will get a reality check, right? But it is correct, right? All right, sweetie, go over there. that's just one thing, but I gotta respect it. I've made numerous videos breaking down Palantir. It's actually not a bad ran company. Like, they have cash on their balance sheet. They're showing growth year over year, quarter after quarter. They're doing everything that they should to get Wall Street's approval. And that's why it's such a challenging stock to bet against when shorting. So I've learned my lesson with Palantir. I respect it from afar. I don't want to invest in it because I still view it as overvalued. But just because I don't want to invest in it shouldn't justify that I need to short it. Just my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think. All right. Oh, I love you too, mamas. Okay. HTZ talks. Wait, what? HTZ? Let's see. HTZ. That's Hertz, right? Oh my goodness, what happened? Sweetie, I'm live right now. So remember, I have to focus. Give me 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes, and then after, we can go grab some food. No, mommy. Yeah. All right, sounds good. 10 minutes though, quiet. All right. Apologize. Bill Ackman happened. Let's look into it. Is that really what happened? Oh wow, they raised 500 million. Billionaire Bill Ackman is betting big on. Oh wow. Didn't they already get a bailout? Is it just buying more time? Didn't Hertz already do this? How many times is Hertz gonna get bailed out before they just call it quits? Now, this is not for beginners. This would not. So would I want to invest in Hertz? No. I don't care if a billionaire steps in and they think that they're going to restructure. We could see that historically speaking, Hertz has not been able to make it out. But with that being said, I would actually find this to be pretty interesting as a potential short opportunity. But again, not for beginners. You have to be pretty well experienced. There's obviously a lot of downside potential, 53%. But I think this should also highlight that any positive news can send the stock skyrocketing. And you would hate that if you are shorting. So that's why I'm saying not for beginners. If I'm a beginner, I would not short this. And then this would just be an intraday play, trying to see if there's an active sell-off, active retracement. But it might be too soon, right? Hype is present, volume is up. Once that hype ends up fading, I want to see where it retraces to. That's the idea. Once the hype fades and reality sinks in, what does it begin to trade at? Does it need to go all the way down? No, but maybe it settles at 5.6, $6 per share. Do you get what I mean? The idea is there. We'll have to see if price action follows. All right. I hate Bill Ackman. Did you have a short on Hertz, or why I hate it? So that's the third stock we broke down so far, right? We broke down Nike, Palantir, and Hertz. We're going to do 2 more stocks. So again, if you want me to break down your stock, all I literally ask you to do, if it's not too much to ask, is smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel and then share your top stock in that live chat. All right, QQQ short, let's break that one down. So Michael, the thing that I would be very careful with right now is, so on the intraday, we are seeing a gap down on NASDAQ. So overnight, for those that do not have overnight hours, right now markets are down because NASDAQ futures have opened. NASDAQ market is down 0.63%. If you guys don't have Webull does allow you to trade during overnight hours. It's the 5th link in the description of this video. You guys can refresh your screen in the description, 5th link. If you use my link, you'll earn up to 20 free shares if you have an initial deposit of at least $5. But the thing that I want to share with you is that when a company or when NASDAQ is down this much, I just don't know if it's going to hold. The market has been finding every and any reason to continue to rally. And you guys know I don't want the market to rally. I want markets to go cheaper, not because I care to short them, but because I want stocks to be cheaper so I can invest in them long term, selfishly. Like, that's what I want. I've said that from the beginning. I told you guys that when I told you guys that I was investing in for my daughter, and that whole explanation, right? So fundamentally, nothing has changed about this whole trade war and the beef between US and China. but it looks like the markets have, as things are not getting worse, then technically, just like we saw during COVID, it kind of does remind me of it. Do you guys remember during COVID, 2019, 2020, and then the 2021 rally? Do you guys remember that? It wasn't that COVID cases went away. It's that COVID cases weren't getting worse. And when that happened, markets began to recover. It wasn't that COVID was going away. It was simply that it wasn't getting worse. So again, the market is a leading indicator. It just often gets ahead of itself. So I would just be very careful with opening a short position before confirmation. Now, again, don't get me wrong. If we begin to see on the 4-hour, I'm looking at the larger time frames, that this thing begins to actively retrace, that could be a different story. I wouldn't be afraid to short a stock intraday. I wouldn't carry a short overnight. And remember, I short with shares. I do not short with trading options. It's one thing that I always love to remind people. I don't trade options. I do it with shares, just like you watch me do it during our live trading sessions. And I think that's a great reminder to have, because shorting is incredibly risky. And I love sharing that with you guys. But I like to also make you aware that my whole point is our job is not to avoid risk. Our job is just to manage it. So yes, if markets do begin to downturn based off of the possible overreaction from last week, because the past 4 trading days have been bullish for no reason other than news is not getting worse. And again, if you guys subscribe to the channel, I'll make sure that I keep you guys up to date. So if news does get worse, I'll make sure that I keep you guys posted, supporting the case that maybe I can short a stock for that given day. But as of right now, we have an ascending uptrend pattern. I do not want to openly say that, yeah, it's worth shorting, right? Markets have to downturn. Let's be real, right? Markets are irrational, and markets, just like the famous quote, markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right? The idea of just because we don't agree with the markets pushing up doesn't justify that we should short it just because we can. I want to short because it makes sense and because opportunity is presenting it with proper direction and confirmation, not just because I want to. So I hope that makes sense. And I hope that you see that I don't mind talking about a setup shorting, as a lot of you guys know that I love to short, but I would never, ever encourage a beginner or anyone to short without understanding or respecting the risk. We have to respect the market for what it is, and that is irrational, but nonetheless, we have to try to almost explain why. And it's all we know right now, trade war isn't getting worse, so technically it's getting better for the stock market. It's a weird way to think about it, but it's very similar to what happened back during COVID. Do you have to go to the bathroom almost? Okay. All right. What's the next one? You're the short king. I know there's a guy that came to visit me at the office. I have a HQ here in Arizona, and this guy, he's an LPP member of mine. And when he came in and he was like, "What's up, short king?" And then I got out of my vehicle. I'm 6'4" for those that don't know. And he was like, "Holy smokes!" He's like, because he's called me short king over, and it's all in fun and games. I don't know if he knew that I was tall or if I wasn't, but obviously I do short a lot. I talk about shorting, so it was like a banter him and I would have back and forth where he would call me short king, and then we saw how tall I was. He was just like, "Oh damn, like I don't think that's a proper name for you." So, but I was like, "No, I love it." Right? There's no reason that, and I'm sure you guys have seen it before where I'm all for, having open dialogue with you guys as long as there's mutual respect. But again, if you like talking crap, I like talking crap too, so I'm all for that as well. Just make sure you can dish what you give. All right, take that out, mama. Let's go do your makeup over there. All right, let's do one more. Okay, I like this one. I'll do 2 more because MSTR is kind of biased for me. So I don't feel like I'm going to give it a fair play. Well, a lot of you guys know that I do not care for, let me make that very clear. I do not care for MSTR, right? I think it's an overvalued piece of shit company. And I think it's an entire Ponzi loop that's derived around Michael Saylor being able to borrow against his investors. And as soon as Bitcoin begins to crash, as it historically, it always does. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. that when Bitcoin crashes, so will MicroStrategy. The example would be is when it crashed back in 2021, so did MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy went from highs of nearly 130 all the way down to lows of $16. So if Bitcoin crashes, again, all MicroStrategy does is it buys Bitcoin. MicroStrategy is set to report earnings this week, I think. I don't think earnings will really impact it, even if it does report a huge unrealized loss, because people don't care about that when they're investing into MicroStrategy. That's not the gimmick when it comes down to it. The thing that I would be paying attention to is MicroStrategy is probably one of the most likely stocks that I would consider shorting at these levels. But I need to wait for confirmation of Bitcoin selling off. If I don't have any confirmation of Bitcoin selling off, then there's no reason for me to open up short. I don't short Bitcoin, I short MicroStrategy, right? I'm all for that. If you're someone that believes in Bitcoin and you want to invest in Bitcoin yourself, it's your money. I don't care what you do with it. Sure, buy the asset, buy Bitcoin. I will never understand how anyone would ever want to invest in MicroStrategy that uses your shares to borrow against and simply dilutes you as they do more share offerings. I will never understand that. Nonetheless, it's your money. You can do whatever it is that you want. But yes, there's huge retracement potential from overall highs of nearly 400 to previous lows of 240. That's about 33% of potential downside. But again, the biggest thing that I would look for is confirmation that Bitcoin is selling off. If sentiment and confirmation is not given that Bitcoin is selling off, there would be no reason for me to want to short MicroStrategy. I like being very open with you guys. I don't mind talking about the opportunity that I see presenting itself, but I always like to be very open in the sense of, if we have no confirmation, then we gotta, just wait for it. There's nothing else to it. It can't be that complicated. All right, let's go ahead and do that last one. So I think the other one that was asked for me to break down was Hood, which is Robinhood, which I'm actually glad that it's not one that we break down too often. Robinhood, just like Coinbase, is showing a lot of signs of a potential recovery. Coinbase maybe not as much, as crypto took a bigger hit. But Robinhood, I would be careful with this one. In my opinion, Robinhood is kind of going through the craze of all the excitement with crypto. So it was able to reap the benefit of Bitcoin, crypto, and then also the market. So that's why we saw the new all-time highs of $66.91. Then we saw the huge retracement to $30. I love to make people aware of that because, again, that was just a few months ago. A few months ago, we saw a 50% drop. And the reason that's important to note is that you cannot be okay with, I'm going to buy it here at these incredibly overvalued levels and not expect there to be potential downturn. I'm all for it. If you think that this is a good valued company, sure. I think long term, I hope that it pays off for you. But fundamentally, if we were to pull this up real quick, Robinhood is trading at a P ratio of 31 times its earnings. It's actually a lot less than what I thought. That's actually not bad. Whoa. Okay, I'm going to have to do a little bit more digging because I haven't been the biggest fan of Robinhood before. I need you to sit down, okay? Please. Or I'm going to ask you to go outside. Okay? I'm asking you one time, please. But yeah, it's a little bit too volatile for my liking. Again, we're all wired in different ways. If you're someone that is willing to risk it for the biscuit, sure, right? I have nothing against that. I'm, all about talking about the different ways on how to make money. It's just too risky for me. At these levels, based off of previous rejection levels, if it goes back down to previous lows, to be able to lose 30 to 40%, it is just too risky for me. But for you, if you think that you buying here at 49 might be worth the risk of this thing going back up to $66, I might not think so. But again, I'm also probably older than you, right? Just because my risk tolerance is a little bit more conservative, I would never, like I said, there's so many different ways on how to make money in this market. If you want to choose to be more risky, all power to you. It's just not my cup of tea. But I'm going to have to pay attention to when this stock reports earnings because, it is this week. I'll pay attention to it. Yep, here we have it. Reports earnings Wednesday after the market closes with Microsoft and Meta. Okay. Ricky, what's up with Google? Google is one of those companies right now that, again, it's not Palantir, it's not Tesla, it's not Nvidia, right? It's not the shiny new toy that Wall Street wants to kind of hype up. Google's just consistent, and it's been very consistent for a very long period of time. So I think this is where my age begins to kind of like sink in, that when I see a company that is showing signs of growth, it is fundamentally a well-run company, a very strong company, and one of the most valuable companies that's publicly traded. When I see that it's selling off after great earnings, but then you see a company like Tesla that, in my opinion, didn't earn this push, but yet it's holding after reporting terrible earnings. I don't want to say it's what's wrong with the stock market, because this is why some people love it. It's very irrational markets, but if you're able to make money and profit from it, then who am I to judge, right? Enter when you think it makes sense and sell when you think it makes sense. Right now, we're testing a very common resistance range for Tesla. We'll see if it's able to surpass $300 per share or if it comes crashing down, right? I think Google is just a company that I wouldn't want to trade. It's a company that I would want to invest in. So selfishly, I want Google to be closer to $150 per share, and I would love to buy some shares in my daughter's investment account. So years from now, we can see at that point, 10, 15, 20 years where Google stands, right? Obviously, Google has been a strong growing company over the number of years. And I think that's all we can try to do as parents. It's not that we have it all figured out, but my parents did the best they could for me. And now I've tried to scale and do better. And now that's all I can really try to do for my daughter, right? Is take what I've learned, invest into companies that I see to be part of the future, and to do it in a tasteful way. I feel like some people really overcomplicate it because it is very overwhelming. And in this market full of chaos and excitement, do I want to invest in crypto? Do I want to invest in a shit coin? How can I make the quickest return? I get that. And I mean, to each their own, but at least for the position that I'm in and the position I want my daughter to be in, I have enough money that I'm investing for her that I think 15 to 20 years from now, I don't need to invest in shit coins for her to be well off. I can invest in good quality companies over a period of time. I can keep it tasteful and see where it grows. I'm sure I'm going to make mistakes along the way, but I think that's the beautiful part about it, is that all we know is during these downturns. But there's actually one guy, I really loved the way that he shared it with me. I think it was with his kid's account, or an account that he has for his child. And he says, I buy $5 worth of Tesla every day. Now, don't get me wrong, right? He says he's been doing it for a number of years. His kid's like 8 years old or something like that. He says $5 or $10 worth of Tesla every day. And I was like, oh, how odd. Like, what a weird number, right? And then he showed me his his position value of the stock. And he had like 14 to 20, it was like 14 or 24,000. I'm sorry, I forgot the exact number, but his percent return was like 150 to 200%. And that's at current levels. And that's the part that I loved about all of it, was that like some people really overcomplicate getting invested or doing something in the market for our kids or for ourselves, that if you keep it simple, you focus on 1 to maybe 3 different stocks or ETFs, and you invest in it over a long period of time. Not even overcomplicating it with $1,000. $1,000 is a lot of money, especially in maybe today's age, right? Let's be realistic. But I think, if you keep it tasteful and you buy not even $5 every day, it doesn't have to be that crazy. Maybe it's on a weekly basis. You set aside $25 a week. It's close to $5, right? $25 a week. And you buy fractions of shares of whatever company it is that you see value in during this downturn. I think it'd be really cool to see, you're not going to become a millionaire off of it. But once you see that percent return, technically speaking, at least for every average young American, you expect to make more money as you continue to get older. So as you see that this account is growing at a percent return much quicker than anything else, I think it's going to be pretty exciting for you of like, hey, anytime markets draw down, I'm going to be able to invest in them more heavily because I've learned, not because someone else told me, but for my experience that, I've been able to see, pretty decent returns on average during downturns. So that's all I want to see. I want to see you guys. Go sit down over there, please. I'm almost done. Go sit down over there. No, I said no. Okay? Dude, this girl does not listen. Yeah, my daughter's about to tell me that your 10 minutes is up. Oh, 100%. She's here for it. Look, you see yourself? They're asking what you're doing. Yeah. All right. But nonetheless, if you guys ever have any questions about really anything about how to open up a trading account, I want to be very open with you guys. First off, there's a bunch of fake accounts that pretend to be me. I will never message you through WhatsApp. I will never email you, or I will never message you first. Let's just make it pretty straight up. I offer one service. I trade live every morning. And that's just more if you want to be involved or you need structure, right? That's with my LPP lesson library, which is the second link in the description down below. But if you're someone that just wants to understand how to buy a stock, how to sell a stock, how to open up an account, you can comment or message me, and I have a bunch of free videos on YouTube. There's a bunch of playlists that I've created. It's called the Get Started playlist. And it just shows you on how you can get started. I think now is a great time to get involved. Even though markets have recovered for the past 4 days, we're far from an overall recovery, right? I'm sure some of you guys over the weekend got the email that I sent out where I explained how much stocks are still down from previous all-time highs, even after this really big green week that we just had last week. So again, it's not too late to get involved. Even if you think that the markets are going to experience another downturn, it doesn't mean that you have to buy aggressively. That's never the point. The point is just to get invested in a tasteful way that makes sense to you. Keep it tasteful, enjoy the process. You're going to make mistakes, but again, if you keep it tasteful, it's not going to completely discourage you. So I have my daughter here now. My 10 minutes are up. I appreciate you guys taking time and joining me for this live session. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I hope that it earned your thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And again, I hope to see you for our live trading session. And that's that second link in the description down below. And if you want to open up a Webull trading account, which is what I use, it's the 5th link in the description down below. And they have some free shares for you. I appreciate your time. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.